Yeah, can't really argue with that ban. However, I feel like Fnatic, as I was doing my scouting for this group, will struggle in picks and bans just because of their champion pools. Unless xPeke has picked it up recently, his Yasuo isn't that great. YellOwStaR hasn't put in much practice on the current top-tier supports like Janna. And sOAZ doesn't play top lane in solo queue, right? Even though he can definitely have the confidence to play anything. Obviously, their bans here were actually quite heavily targeted. I want to see what they end up coming out with. First pick Trist.
That Rengar ban really used in the North American LCS to too good of an effect, but still taken away from NoName coming into this one. Tristana is a first pick coming in for Rekkles, and something that amazes me about him, he came in at IPL 5 and not overshadowed by xPeke. He's created such a name for himself as a prodigy in the AD carry scene.
And that's the beauty about Rekkles. If you look at his statistics with Tristana, just 3 games played, but when you think back to his time in the Copenhagen Wolves when he wasn't old enough to be at Fnatic and he was on loan there, his Tristana was absolutely mind-blowing. So that's going to be a big pick here for Fnatic. On the other side, we're going to see Rumble pulled out by Ackerman, and the Thresh goes on to Maw.
An absurd amount of priority paid to Rumble here. Ryze, who was such a huge pick ban threat in groups A and B, is just left open at this point. It's not a huge pick for sOAZ. To kind of get back to your Rekkles point and how he's exploded on the scene, had the highest KDA, tied for the most kills ever in LCS, but least deaths in lane. Big. As far as CS over opponent at 10 minutes, no one was actually as dominant as Vasilii by a wide margin. Vasilii averaged 6.7 CS greater than opponent. Rekkles was around 3. And that was the 3rd best across both NA or EULCS. 2 very strong laners, but it's actually a really exciting matchup.
Well, we'd definitely love to get to see them in the 2v2 matchup if it comes down to it. We see more grabbing the Thresh to try and create plays throughout the game. Already seeing that top lane, and the support doesn't really show too much of what LMQ has in mind. Right now, can focus on objectives if they need to. Cyanide swapping around. He will not take his jungler. They go for the Lulu. sOAZ has been very outspoken about his AP top laners.
I mean, Lulu is a champion that he was playing before anyone else was, so it's kind of a default back to a comfort pick. We'll have to see how that one works, actually. That's about all we can say about that one. The Thresh, though, from Moore, it was funny because we were watching that first game backstage, and at the start of it, it looked like Moore was just missing everything, yet when it mattered, he was landing the most crucial hooks and plays. We'll see if he can take the end of that first game into the start of this one and have a solid all-around performance.
So for NoName, he will be getting his hands on Lee Sin. KogMaw this time around for Vasilii, and actually quite far down on his most played champions list over the course of the LCS Summer Split and playoffs, having played it just 4 times with a 50% win record on that front as well. So Fnatic here looking for a jungler and the mid laner as well. See exactly what xPeke is going to pull out. He's a guy that's been around forever and honestly seems to perform when it matters the most for Fnatic.
Consistently a clutch player is one of the best ways I've seen it put. However, he has to pick blind into XiaoWeiXiao's mid lane, which is not an easy task, considering he 1v1 killed Cool in the first game today. This champ select is tough to pin down from Fnatic. They generally stay away from full team fighting comps and will either go for poke or picks, and this time it's poke.
We see that Jarvan coming in. Didn't play it too well throughout the season, but he does love his Jarvan, so Cyanide's going to get that to himself. Absolutely, Jed, a very fast pick and ban phase compared to our last matchup.
And I think that's the safety pick there for xPeke, going in blind, have good damage, have it at range, and offer that poke for later on. XiaoWeiXiao was, funny enough, hovering over Yasuo in game number 1, decided to go for Syndra, which is one of xPeke's big choices, and it went over to OMG. This time around, though, he's going to show, or try at least, to show how good he is on that Yasuo.
Yeah, I think as soon as XiaoWeiXiao saw the fact that Syndra or Ryze wasn't locked in, he says, all right, Yasuo time. Instead of trying to match poke for poke, because the rest of the LMQ composition was fairly versatile in that sense. Lee Sin can be played as a poke champion, so can Thresh. They decided to switch it up, going against the Xerath, instead matching more initiation to go against the Xerath instead of trying to outpoke him. So it should be a pretty flashy match.
Definitely seeing LMQ bring in the fight to the poke from the Fnatic.
And another North America versus Europe match. The last one, I think, those fans out there that are, you know, want all that fight game. That last one might have been a bit of a letdown, although it was a tactical masterpiece. We'll see if this one's any different. Although Fnatic, if you look at their style, have traditionally been also a fairly conservative teams, especially at the start.
Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest, though. North America and Europe, by the numbers, do not play super aggressively. They play longer games and lower kill games in other regions because a lot of their game is highly strategic. So
we'll find out what happens in this one then. And now those champions are locked in. Who do you guys think has the edge in this match? Tweet to us at LOL Esports using the hashtag FNCWin or the hashtag LMQWin, and we'll figure out those votes as we get into game.
And we are just about to do that. These guys are ready and on the Rift. We're just waiting to pop in. And this is going to be another amazing matchup. Like you said, Joe, maybe a little bit more of a bloodbath in this one, which everybody is hoping for. But still, the strategy will come out. I think one of the greatest things we've ever heard about LMQ, said by Dyrus, is, you know, what makes them good is also their weakness. Sometimes they go a little too hard, and that can really put them on the back foot. See if Fnatic can take control of that at any point in this game, or if they try to play it risk-averse, as we usually see.
Well, a standard-ish start here as Maw gets that early ward down into the Death Brush. We see that both Rekkles and YellOwStaR have headed down bottom already. Vasilii, he's already waiting inside of the brush, so they will spot each other. Of course, we did see in our last couple of groups that these brushes at level 1 were face-checked a couple of times, which did result in those early first bloods going over. I think it was SK that particularly fell foul to those little tactics that happened, but I again expect a similar start to the Cloud9 versus Alliance game in terms of these two teams just want to feel each other out from the start.
There is so much international stage play coming from these teams, more so on the top of LMQ with Ackerman, but Fnatic just bringing so much historical experience from playing on a stage, being under this pressure. We'll see if it actually is something that gets to LMQ. Known to be good in their best of ones, but falter when they get into those best of 5 series. So for now, seems like they should be faring quite well.
Yeah, they end up just playing exactly the way they want to. And sometimes teams are good at adapting to that after the fact. Obviously, LMQ was very secretive about their boot camping. There's no way they scrimmed against Fnatic. The fact that Ackerman has trained this Rumble pick in secret was very impressive. And even the KogMaw, for that matter, is something we haven't seen much from Vasilii. We'll have to see how well practiced these things are and whether LMQ ends up taking this group by storm.
Well, so far so good for them, beating OMG in our first game of the day. As actually, I think NoName did just spot YellOwStaR there hiding around the corner. And you can see that he's worried about that blue start, so he's going to be backing off, which means that LMQ will take the blue buff on the top side of Fnatic's jungle. Should let Cyanide cross straight over, though. Yeah,
the reason that NoName was being so passive there is because LMQ was actually hoping for a 3-buff start, and they did not have AD carry or support help for NoName, so even just YellOwStaR, if he had been a little bold, would have been able to push NoName off of his own blue buff. Because YellOwStaR did that check, it actually secures double buffs for Cyanide, and surprisingly, NoName will only get his red buff, so Cyanide does have an early game edge, thanks to that nice little check by YellOwStaR.
Well, he is considered to be the best support in Europe. The small plays give the team the advantages just like that, keeping them very safe and giving them everything they want. So we see sOAZ and Cyanide on their roam as well on the other side. Ooh, actually just on the heels. LMQ is going to miss out on this. The white will not be taken. 2 hits on the harpoon, but it's not going to be enough slow to really give them what they want.
A lot of wards being put over the other side of the walls here, so both got vision of each other. YellOwStaR actually joining in on this one, and they want to try and force them away completely. That's a good bubble, and they're going to go towards Ackerman. A lot of damage coming in. He will flash over the top. Cyanide has gone low. NoName flashes, more flashes, and flashes blown left, right, and center by LMQ.
It is very rare when you're doing these lane swap freezes that you see the jungle pairs run into each other. It's even rarer that they actually commit onto one another. Fnatic, however, found the right moves. The 1-point glitter lands from sOAZ and the double bubble that YellOwStaR was able to land. Absolutely crucial in these low-level fights where there's such limited skills to get such high value out of those usage. ends up burning all those flashes from LMQ and should basically cripple LMQ's ability to provide any early game aggression.
It definitely looks like Fnatic was taking notes on the LMQ OMG game earlier and said, if they're going to come out that strong, we need to come out a little stronger. Great trades here already coming out through the mid lane. XiaoWeiXiao doing as he should with the early aggression here on Yasuo.
And if we look at the CS there, it is XiaoWeiXiao that has the advantage. The wind wall being somewhat troublesome for PeKe as he tries to auto-attack the minions down that have gotten low. So up until now, it's LMQ that have that advantage on that front. The AD carries pretty much bang even, doing a very similar thing in those lanes. Rekkles up to 30 CS, just a slight lead for Vasilii. So nothing really to talk about on that front.
It kind of feels like sOAZ is a little bit lost right now, actually. He's taking up time in the mid lane. Normally, when you see these freezing AD carries, you'll either see the jungler buddy up with the top laner, or see the top laner get help with the support. That's what ackerman's been doing, but he may be caught out.
Nice little engage. Cyanide not going to choose to go off on that. They do lose their ward, however. Back down to the bottom lane, we see again the support helping the top lane, as it's going to give Vasilii that free farm, that safe play on KogMaw, so we can charge up for the late game. Just 5 minutes in, a lot of aggression kind of forced in by Fnatic there, but it seems like both teams have had enough of that so far.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, they just were able to burn flashes, not much more. They weren't able to get many jungle minions, and what ends up being to the favor of LMQ is that mid lane matchup. XiaoWeiXiao versus PeKe. He pushed him back to lane. He bought a very early Avarice Blade, and he's going to try and push his edge in that mid lane.
What's Fnatic doing here on this bottom side? YellOwStaR looking like he's just going to wander up the river and get some vision down for them. In fact, going even further than that and putting one down by the blue buff. You saw the pings from LMQ, so they know that that's gone off as XiaoWeiXiao once again in towards PeKe, taking a good bit of damage and has built up a 10 CS lead here. And PeKe, you know, he just needs to sit back and farm, which is, I think, easier said than done against a Yasuo who's going to be in your face constantly.
Exactly, especially when the Yasuo is willing to take blind risks like that. When he dashes through that close to the tower to get the knockup, he did that without ward control. So if Cyanide had actually been in the side brush, it may have been fatal. He was down a wind wall and would have definitely had to burn flash if Cyanide had been there, but because it wasn't, he gets another small trade in lane, and he's putting the pressure on Fnatic to stop him, but he will take risks himself.
Absolutely. We know XiaoWeiXiao going in quite hard, even when behind, is when he grabbed that pentakill for his curse. Unfortunately, not getting the victory in that game, but still really solo initiating those types of circumstances. See if they can keep this safe. Fnatic doing a great job at continuously keeping the deep wards in LMQ's jungle.
Pink ward taken away around the blue buff. No big dragon attempt so far. So YellOwStaR only, they've done a good job of clearing out those wards and keeping LMQ away from that area and stopping them getting any more down. They do have one inside of Fnatic's Tribush though, so we'll be seeing YellOwStaR actually recalling. XiaoWeiXiao going aggressive once again onto PeKe, gets a stun right in the face though.
As soon as PeKe misses that stun though, he's going to be in for a whole world of pain. You can see even with that stun line, he doesn't get too much harassed down, so definitely a very defensive lane there for PeKe. Not a bad thing, they're still very even in this game. That could be a bad thing though.
Yeah, just on the cusp of getting attacked, but PeKe is able to pretty much stare down NoName and Moore, say no, that's not going to happen right now. 8 minutes in, Moore trying to put on the roam pressure here, getting some nice wards in. Throws one over the dragon wall himself. XiaoWeiXiao initiating his own bit of damage on the mid lane. PeKe safe from pretty much all lanes as of right now. Haven't seen too much jungler ganks coming out, even as they have been left to their own device, not having to farm around with the top laners, so they're getting all the experience they want. Might have to see something big here at the Dragon.
As the pink ward being used by YellOwStaR on the Tribush just to make sure that they have full control of that one. May open something up for Cyanide to get down onto this bottom lane, but up until now they've been pretty safe about things. And if we look at the CS, the big difference in this one, of course, is in this mid lane where PeKe has just been bullied away from those minions. Top lane as well has opened up someone. That's because it's just been frozen all the way up that lane, and sOAZ has not been able to get in there.
And honestly, ackerman's been getting a lot of support help from Moore, whereas sOAZ has been all by his lonesome. I'm not entirely sure what YellOwStaR has been able to accomplish by roaming around so much. but it's definitely in the favor of LMQ here. If Fnatic wants to right this ship, they need to use their teleport advantage. sOAZ is level 6. They could potentially grant some 5v4 Dragon potential, but that would require a somewhat positive gank trade by Cyanide. They would need to harass someone down first, then use the teleport. Otherwise, they could be too vulnerable just against the Rumble ult by itself at the Dragon.
So Quill Coat and wards for Cyanide already as he starts throwing up everything. Dragon is pretty heated.
NoName is completely in a strange place right here. sOAZ expects the gank to be coming up here, but I feel like he's going to be able to avoid it. And it's going to give Dragon to Fnatic if they just decide to go for it.
Yeah, kick against the wall there, which doesn't quite get sOAZ out. Use his wild growth. Fnatic have cleared out a few wards, but seem to be quite apprehensive about actually starting off the Dragon here. I feel like that's a moment where you've got to be decisive.
I absolutely think they need to be extremely decisive. That was a lot burned by sOAZ. He still would have been able to teleport down without his ultimate for less impact. Obviously, Rekkles was back in base, but the window of opportunity here from Fnatic was huge, and they weren't able to go through it. So they're just going to sit on that 800 gold disadvantage. And there's one thing that Fnatic doesn't do well, actually, and that's play with the gold disadvantage. They need to snowball their games and get far ahead in order to win most of the time.
Yeah, you have to consider we see Rumble coming out so often in so many teams, only for that matter. Actually, XiaoWeiXiao in the mid lane. Beautiful dashes to get around a bubble to still come out. He is forced to flash on that one, so good control by YellOwStaR to get that forced.
There's Rekkles actually jumping away and traded a bit with more in the bottom lane, but with Vasilii finally leaving that top lane, he's going to come down bottom, slightly behind on that front, but he's got a couple of waves headed his way. NoName, who we were talking about, showing himself in the top lane. I think a lot of teams here at the World Championship would punish you for that kind of positional play. Fnatic actually going in, they're going for more. Ultimate coming out of xPeke, but it's Cyanide that actually gets the kill. One final blow, and now you do Dragon.
Yeah, even though it was delayed, that was still a punishment for NoName being gone. The lack of vision control led to that kill.
What a catch onto NoName as well. That's the smite going down, so this is going to be an even easier Dragon now for Fnatic, playing that one very nicely.
Big way Fnatic wins is they poke or they pick, and they just got 2 picks right there. Really nice jumps by Cyanide, stuns by xPeke, securing victories, but mainly punishing NoName and more for dropping vision control in the Dragon area.
Oh, sOAZ having a good go at ackerman in his top lane as well there. Obviously, ackerman does have a 20 CS almost lead over sOAZ, but with that haunting guy, sOAZ obviously going in for that fiendish codex first of all. If we look at the big picture as well, we're 12 minutes into this one. 2 kills for Fnatic, 1 with the jungler, 1 with Rekkles. And a man who we already know is going to have to be a big feature in this World Championship for Fnatic if they're to, you know, surpass the amazing performance that they had last year. You know, people were always talking about Fnatic are not going to do anything with Rekkles last year, but you know, they brought Pushu to the World Championships and they still managed to go as far as they did. I feel like even though a lot of people aren't necessarily banking on Fnatic to do much in this World Championship, there's still kind of a secret hope that Fnatic are going to turn up.
Yeah, it's true. They always turn up when it matters, and they're turning up in this game. It seemed like a slow start for them, especially when they didn't go for that early Dragon. But the way they recovered from that play, having Cyanide just turn on his man mode really quickly there, gives them some nice edges. Controlling the Dragon, controlling this gold lead will make it difficult for LMQ to go big. But now the return gank in the top lane.
Throwing down the wild growth, but it's only going to be to stay alive for a few more seconds. Who's going to pick up the kill? It's going to be Ackerman that locks that one down. That'll help him get to his core items a bit faster. NoName with repeated ganks towards that top lane.
And for me, that's one way to beat Fnatic as well, to try and annoy sOAZ more than, you know, if you camp this guy, if you get him feeling annoyed with how the game's going, if you get him down, he sometimes struggles to pick himself up, and that might be something that these teams try to utilize in their matches, as once again, xPeke is going to blast back towards XiaoWeiXiao as they try and get into more damage onto this middle turret. Up until now, no towers have gone down in this game. Fnatic, in the meantime, are invading on the blue.
Yeah, it does look like the top lane turret will go down shortly to NoName, but the reason, Joe, that the turrets haven't gone down in this 14-minute game is, unlike the Cloud9 Alliance game, where we saw a fast push by one side and a freeze by the other, both sides opted to freeze. With the KogMaw versus Trist, both those guys want just a longer laning phase so they can hit their first big item, and they both got it.
I'll tell you what, getting locked out by an xPeke in the long game from Xerath is definitely going to hurt when Rekkles comes through with that long-range attack. I got to be very careful for each of the engages. 2-1 here, 14.5 minutes into the game. xPeke does have his blue buff. They're able to control that quite well. There's not anything that really needs to go to XiaoWeiXiao. So we can still see NoName picking that up. What a stun. Beautiful job coming out of xPeke. Almost getting caught up on that one, but it looks like they're able to keep it safe.
There are some massive experience gaps in this game. Or's just level 6, barely staying alive. Great wind wall.
One more would have done it there. Picked up another kill for Fnatic. As it happens, they've managed to force both Yasuo and Thresh away. Cyanide, in the meantime, is going to be coming towards the top side of the map. Not sure if Ackerman actually spotted him there. Cyanide is going to be waiting around, and that middle turret is still being beaten upon.
LMQ, nice pink ward duty they have going out here. Ackerman knows he's not going to be caught from the backside, and he gets out of this one safely, wasting a bit of Cyanide's double buff time. And more poke from the mid lane. Vasilii trying to get his roam on as well. A little bit of an invade from Rekkles here. Where he's going?
Yeah, this is also one of those rare games where the Jarvan jungler reaches a sightstone before the Lee Sin jungler. But that is because NoName opted for the damage and dueling potential. And we'll see if it ends up costing LMQ and vision control. They already lost that one dragon. You can see the dragon area of the map is littered with wards from Fnatic's side. And it is actually in all of Fnatic's power to make an aggressive play here, since LMQ will have to go in most places blind.
Rekkles now with the static shiv and that BF sword. Tidecaller's blessing makes that so painful. It's such an awesome synergy in lane. Now they're out of lane. They're ready to push these in, and mid turret is going to go down. That's opening up the map now for Fnatic. These pink wards that LMQ laid down are going to be cleared out soon. They start to gain a little bit more ground with the about a 2,000 gold lead.
And this is where we should see Fnatic starting to strangle out LMQ, getting a lot of vision down, specifically on this bottom side of the jungle, since that dragon will be coming up in 1.5 minutes. Make sure that wave is pushed up as far as possible. In fact, Rekkles moving in there quickly. You mentioned the static shiv after BF sword. Gives him plenty of wave clear as well, so that wave shouldn't be any problem whatsoever. But with this next dragon coming up, interested to see how Ackerman and sOAZ decide to get involved. Obviously the penetration build for Ackerman, sOAZ going the safer and more common route there of that teams first.
And now there's also a Negatron poke on Ackerman, but honestly the pace of this game, and more importantly the style of their opponent for LMQ, is night and day from game 1 of today. Playing OMG versus playing Fnatic is a completely different experience. Fnatic is kind of working in the shadows here. They're trying more to control vision, only getting picks, operating around small skirmishes, and almost never forcing anything, only taking it after they have created an advantage. Whereas OMG was all about brute forcing their ways around, forcing fights, moving as 5, and LMQ loved playing against that. This, though, they are struggling.
And that dragon is coming up in less than half a minute's time. Fnatic have lost a few wards, but those deeper ones by the blue buff still stand. There's a pink inside of the dragon pit from LMQ, which will allow them to keep control on that front. If we look at the top lane, sOAZ has teleport available. And we are going to see Ackerman already in position. So for the immediate future, there is the advantage. We will surely see sOAZ come down, or even they'll hold them off until sOAZ takes the tower.
And LMQ is tired of dancing around. They're gonna go!
Oh, the flash kick, but he doesn't connect or want to take the resonating strike. There's just too much space that would be closed in the gap, and the team wouldn't be able to follow. They easily lock down onto Cyanide. That's the smite threat down. Do they go?
Vasilii did take a fair amount of poke from xPeke, but now that big poke is down, and LMQ still has a lot of power.
Gotta be real careful. There's a bubble landing on towards more. A lot of damage comes his way, but the dragon has already been done. NoName just focused that one down. LMQ able to pick it up, but Fnatic are rushing up mid.
LMQ does what LMQ does best. They force as 5. They make Fnatic react to them instead of allowing Fnatic to dictate an opportunity. But Fnatic is doing what they do best in trying to react and push the mid lane.
LMQ trying to stop what they can. Very close. Nothing can close in on Ackerman there. And it looks like Fnatic is forced back for now. They don't have Cyanide. A little harder to go into the turret with this one, so they back off. Looks like LMQ has been taken for a ride in this one a little bit more, like you said, Jat, than the first game here. They've needed to change their playstyle, and it doesn't seem to be working for them too much.
Yeah, I think it's easy for Fnatic to come into this day with the fact that you're only playing LMQ. It means you can focus a lot on this one play style. For LMQ, it's a little bit different because you look at Fnatic and you look at OMG and you say, okay, that's two completely different teams that we have to think about and to prepare for, really. So we'll see how LMQ can try and get themselves back into this one. It's not even a massive gold lead at this point. It's not as if Fnatic are head and shoulders above that of LMQ at this stage. And we'll see how these next few minutes come out. Fnatic, of course, losing out on that last strike and did a lot to even this game up.
I mean, honestly, just the difference in play styles you were talking about there is one of the reasons Group C is so difficult for these guys. Not only are there 4 strong teams with ridiculously talented mid laners, but they all have very distinctive, unique play styles. So in order to prepare and succeed in this group, you have to be able to play against every conceivable style, it really feels like. And it is going to be tough for a team to be undefeated in this group.
Very hard on the international stage. A lot of people play differently. We saw that Fnatic was not playing the strongest coming out of playoffs. Mainly Peke having some trouble. Right now they're all showing up, getting behind each other and really playing as a team now, stopping LMQ down, not giving them the initiations they want. Now Fnatic to set up around Baron, at least to get that vision to come up now. That Infinity Edge has been finished on Rekkles.
So one thing I'm waiting for actually in this game is during the regular season when XiaoWeiXiao would pull ahead in a game, he would very often go to split pushing. And when you look at this game, Fnatic doesn't necessarily have a good answer for a XiaoWeiXiao split push, except for maybe Rekkles if they are willing to peel away their AD carry for a side lane. But even that may be to the favor of LMQ. More, however, takes a lot of damage.
Not quite enough though. He could have done with another 3 charges to finish off more, but that will at least force him away from that Baron area. Not sure that Fnatic are really in a position. I mean, we're 21 minutes into this one. You still see that YellOwStaR is in single digits when you look at his level. Not exactly Baron o'clock for Fnatic. That's a good block of the stun coming out from XiaoWeiXiao.
That probably would have been a dead Yasuo for sure. Beautiful wind wall, will be down for a while, which allows more siege and poke to come in here from Peke. More looks like he wants to create something here. Sonic Wave connects onto YellOwStaR. He actually kicks back Cyanide after using that one. Cyanide's gonna have to throw down the Cataclysm to at least disengage the rest of the team. Ackerman coming in with his teleport's gonna stop and throw down the equalizer. Peke is just cooking on it right now. The harpoon misses. Vasilii not high enough level to keep that artillery going.
It's still a race against the clock though, because while all that was happening, Rekkles was pushing down that side lane. It's now 3 turrets to 1 in the favor of Fnatic. LMQ got some kills, they got some damage down, but what did they really gain?
You were saying, Jat, do they want to peel off Rekkles? Seemed to work a little bit there, but they got to be careful because now LMQ seems like they want to start going in.
Oh, Peke stuck around to try and get rid of the wave, but Vasilii flashing in. There's a stun coming down. sOAZ going to go for this one. Ultimate again up. Nice bit of dodge work from Vasilii, and he'll be able to just dodge out all of that ultimate damage. And Fnatic almost losing their mid laner there. That was very, very aggressive from Vasilii.
See that again. Good teleport from behind.
Yeah, it was just a flank attack right there by Ackerman. You can see LMQ again just decided to fight, and they could find the fight. It's really been on NoName to create those opportunities, but because Fnatic is so spread out, because they like to play small skirmishes, it's very difficult to lock the whole team down. They only get 1 kill, and because of it, they ended up losing a turret and giving substantially more farm to Rekkles.
That is LMQ behind the gold, run up mid lane to force the fight right where you are. Good kills out of that one. Only now 1,000 gold behind with 1.5 minutes left on Dragon. Some wards are lacking in that area, so we'll see that be coming up soon.
That middle turret could be falling here though. We see Rekkles waiting on top of his pink bow. sOAZ is down there as well, and this turret already falling super low. Vasilii will get the final hit onto it. Did get stunned off, but he was right on top of the lantern to take an easy road to safety. Meanwhile, Ackerman will be clearing out wards. Top left-hand corner, we see the Dragon is coming in less than a minute's time, but NoName is going very, very deep. sOAZ and Rekkles coming around the side. Slow is down. Flash away from the Cataclysm though, and they're going to try and turn this one around onto Cyanide. The tidal wave comes through. That will stop LMQ chasing.
Still a lot of damage there down onto NoName, and a lot of initiation potential is lost since the flash is down. Really for both junglers. Those junglers are the real only guys who can create in this game. XiaoWeiXiao can follow up on the creation very well. I think that ends up favoring Fnatic a little bit because it is LMQ who needs to be the ones forcing, and the Xerath poke is growing in strength.
seems to be getting a little dangerous for Cyanide. May see some Cataclysm flags out instead of all the way in. He's just too much of a focus. Whoa, one shot. That one static Shiv hit with a crit. Beautifully done. They start locking in the artillery from Peke on Xerath's ultimate. Everybody gets a piece of that one, and sOAZ is going to have to rush out of this, but they're drawing all of LMQ.
Fnatic finds the catches, and now they're invading. They're actually using that catch potential to create bigger advantages. Not a big risk in getting that pick, but now they can hopefully get a bigger reward. The Dragon could swing the game if they're able to get it. However, they're taking so much time on this blue buff. The fact that they forced the smite actually makes the Dragon much easier.
So Dragon gonna be started off then with that smite down. Cyanide will be feeling a bit more comfortable to take that one. It's going down before LMQ really get close to that one. XiaoWeiXiao will start to move in. NoName also off to the side as well, but LMQ force Fnatic away and actually are going to make a positional play here, sweeping over towards mid.
They have a great wave to get that mid down. sOAZ is forced to go cover top and soak up some of that experience, which doesn't suck for him, but that mid turret is going to start feeling some pain here from LMQ. It's only Cyanide that's going to be able to look at that with half HP. So LMQ, they may have lost out a little bit there, but they catch Fnatic with their pants down to mid.
And I think that's a trade that they're going to be happy with, you know, losing out to that Dragon, but able to take an inner turret, which means they can somewhat strangle the jungle. NoName had to be careful there. Fnatic had xPeke watching over that red buff pit.
Denying the red buff from Rekkles at this point in the game, though, is really valuable. They have a miniature protect the Trist comp here because they can add so much damage with the AP Lulu when Pix is on Rekkles' head, as well as YellOwStaR with that Tidecollar's Blessing. So it is a lot of extra damage for Rekkles in team fights, and with the red buff is more control. That is one hell of a hook.
You don't want the AD carry being the one to get grabbed. Beautiful hit by Moore. Very low mana on YellOwStaR. The ultimate used on Rekkles with Wild Growth. Cyanide, oh no! Hits the Baron on the way out. He should be safe as sOAZ gives him a shield.
But how low is Fnatic going to be here? They still have the Xerath poke, Peke still have his ultimate, but this is a really touchy, dangerous point in the game, taking so much poke. It does appear like LMQ is not willing to take that risk, though.
Scary times for Fnatic. Actually, LMQ, as you mentioned, didn't want to jump on that Baron and get things started off. We are only 26 minutes into this game, and a couple of men low could quickly get back to regen, and we'll be back onto the map before we can really say anything about that one. And LMQ obviously just backing away from things as well, so not deciding to go aggressive on that front. We see there Vasilii just getting a bit more gold from his jungle, wants to finish off that Blade of the Ruin King on top of his Trinity Force. We've also just seen XiaoWeiXiao finishing Infinity Edge into the static Shiv as well.
Such a different LMQ we're seeing. You know, you were just saying we're not doing Baron yet. LMQ is doing Baron at 23 minutes, 22 minutes regularly in the season. Definitely a different play style here, so much more cautious.
And I think so much of this game, since it is so tense and close, will be decided by item breakpoints and catches. We saw in the jungle there, Moore landed the hook onto Rekkles. It almost cost Fnatic the Baron pit, yet all of Fnatic's plays have been catching LMQ when they're not in position to team fight. As of now, Rekkles is building some component-focused defensive items. That Negatron Cloak is actually required against a Rumble, so he doesn't get dropped below half health before he can get auto attacks off in fights. That's actually smart, however, it delays his damage. We take a look at Vasilii, Trinity Force Blade of the Ruin King. He's there right now. Despite being behind Trist in gold by about 1,500, his damage is really good in that context.
Full-on combo out of Peke, they're landing onto Ackerman. Did take it to about half HP. Ackerman actually going for that Abyssal Scepter here after his Haunting Guys and Sorcerer's Shoes. While Rekkles has been called down to bottom. This could be dangerous. Rekkles showing himself on completely the other side of the map.
Yeah, he's going to try and create a split push opportunity, but he is far, far away. And Fnatic's taking a huge chance around Baron right here, having faith in their vision control, and then LMQ won't try a hard force. And also, just faith in Xerath. I think it's very hard to Baron against Xerath. That isn't gonna last for long, though.
Oh, Moore coming into LMQ right now, and that is a hit up. XiaoWeiXiao is gonna be getting the kill there. 3 go down immediately. I figured they were just taking the advantage of a wave that was gonna give him a turret, but it was so much more.
Completely unexpected hook over the side of the wall right there. But it all spawns off of Rekkles being on the wrong side of the map because they could not make control happen and they lost sight.
And of course you're going to get hooked from the side when the team's pushing that inner turret and you've got no vision over the other side. Dangerous to try and defend that one. We see the LMQ onto the Baron, can't see anyone stealing this one. You saw YellOwStaR just stepping out to get vision in, but there's nobody else around there. And the Baron is going to be going over to LMQ.
What a massive turn in the game. And again, it was more. We saw this in the first game. He'd missed so many hooks in the early game, seemingly gets caught out in these weird positions, and then he goes and makes a miraculous play. Death Sentence obviously comes out of the fog for Peke. That means XiaoWeiXiao can follow in. There was nothing there from Fnatic. Rekkles wasn't in range, and their main damage dealer in Xerath was gone. sOAZ has been so far behind. Once they take out the main Sieger, it is a free pylon. LMQ didn't care that the turret wasn't even destroyed by the time they went in, because all other sources of damage from Fnatic were gone.
So even the Talisman of Ascension here trying to be built up by Moore after his Aegis. He's not going to finish that right away. They want the initiation. They still want the speed to keep going. They want to be able to run around a tidal wave if possible. 30 minutes in the game, 5-3.
It's actually a really rare to see nowadays, but a double Aegis coming out from LMQ.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The way this works is obviously it's good to get if someone is out of range of the Aegis Aura, but for the two holders, they will get the personal benefit and the Aura benefit. At least that's how it used to work. I probably just said something silly. I'm double checking.
I'm sure people will let us know.
Because they get the magic resistance for themselves and then the Aura.
So LMQ then with that Baron buff on, looking to actually make a dent in Fnatic's defenses here. First up will be the outer turret in the bottom lane. Inner turret may just be pushed down, and Fnatic, after trying to defend that last time around, Moore actually going to flash in. They get a play onto Peke. There's the ultimate coming out. XiaoWeiXiao, he gets the kill. They dive for YellOwStaR, and it's a double kill for XiaoWeiXiao, and they're going to get another tower.
And it's LMQ finding ways to create. The siege is gone. This inhibitor will be ridiculously hard for them to hold.
Moore continue, or rather, XiaoWeiXiao continued to write the story in the mid lane as he just farmed his way to the Guardian Angel. We saw how fearless he was in that engagement. Baron also keeping these guys strong. Mounds ahead of the game right now with a 5,000 gold lead. LMQ has just continued to strengthen their hold.
Clicking the locket there, which I'm not sure they 100% wanted to do as they moved into the base, but we're going to be up the next time that these two teams will actually meet. Meanwhile, LMQ just backing away will get themselves a free dragon, already 5k gold in the lead. Right, we'll just extend that up to almost exactly 6. Well, let's have another look at that one. It's a flash from Moore.
Yeah, a flash play to catch Peke once again. He can't seem to stay safe. Fnatic has pretty much no front line here, and despite the ridiculous range of Xerath, LMQ has been able to close that gap. You do not close gaps like that unless you are willing to take some pretty big risks. That's what LMQ has been able to do in these last few minutes.
And it doesn't look like Fnatic was even considering these risks. They had that entire area still warded the same when those flashes came through. So LMQ walked through a bright hallway and everything was seen by Fnatic.
However, they've fallen for the same trick twice in a row. Those outer turrets in both the top and the bottom lane, I kind of like to call them the death turrets because to me they're the most indefensible turrets in the game. The jungle entrance and the flank behind or beside the turret is just so devastating. And both times, Moore has caught Peke in basically the exact same spot and has been followed up by Yasuo. Fool me once, fool you twice, and Peke may have lost the game for Fnatic.
Well, it's going to be a tough comeback, that's for sure. The Baron buff is still running for LMQ, and we'll see if Fnatic can actually hold on to what remains of their base. The top wave is going to be pushed out here by LMQ. They've already got the pressure down bottom thanks to that dead inhibitor and the super minions that will start moving through. It's Rekkles once again that's down there. Even if we go back to the play just before, where they did catch Peke under the turret, they moved in for that because Rekkles wasn't actually there during the start of that defense. And a tough scenario now for Fnatic to be in to try and defend against this one, especially once that wind wall goes down. Makes it hard to clear out those waves.
Almost impossible. That turret, 75% damage, and nothing was given back from Fnatic.
I wonder if LMQ will show patience here. They got 2/3 of the turret, but now Rekkles is kind of here, so a fight would be able to be countered by Fnatic, but they're just going to straight up get the turret.
We have seen the fights without Rekkles in them. There's the ultimate coming in from Peke. Cyanide, however, dies as he tries to walk across the equalizer. It was his only way out, and in has not been something Fnatic can follow throughout this entire game.
Both inhibs down. Once again, LMQ choosing to use the Locket very, very early on in that fight to try and mitigate some of the initial damage that comes through. And Fnatic here standing on only one inhibitor turret and inhibitor. LMQ knocking on the door of victory.
I mean, LMQ does have 2 of those Lockets, so they can use it pretty freely, it feels like. This third inhibitor, I'm surprised they're going for it so quickly, but they just have so much confidence, so much momentum, and Fnatic hasn't been able to put up a fight.
And the confidence has not gotten LMQ into any bad spots. They're playing this strategically well as aggressive. It looks like they're starting to turn on a little bit more of the pressure. That's all inhibitors down. They just pretty much have to wait for the waves again. Cyanide too far in. The team can't close that gap. Peke is almost walking straight up to the fight in range. There's one of the Lockets down. Actually, both have been used now. If the disengage is to come out, Rekkles clean this up.
This could be interesting. Moore's going to go down. Gives Rekkles the reset. He flashes over. Can't quite get onto NoName. The slow's coming in. And that will stop Rekkles really chasing through. But will Fnatic try and use this pushback? They can't really. Look at the base. These super minions are already in there on those Nexus turrets.
Yeah, they're down 3 inhibitors. The counter push is literally impossible for them right now without super minions killing their Nexus. Yes, it was a little over-aggressive looking for LMQ to push for that third inhibitor, but when they acquire it, even if Rekkles would have killed 5 of them, they still may have not lost control of the game. 3 inhibitors down, Baron coming soon. LMQ can secure that, continue to buy items, and continue their road towards victory. Rekkles is the only extra stop they have to go over now.
That road to victory came quite swift this game. You were mentioning XiaoWeiXiao possibly going to the split push fashion, 3-0-5, as he would be able to, but the team decides to stick together in a death ball and just keep raining down on Fnatic's base. Now the bottom inhibitor to drop as it comes back up. It's still got a wave coming into it right now, but they are just going to have a field day on this next push.
Yeah, I mean, LMQ can theoretically just sit back by Baron now when the time is running down and let the super minions really do the job for them. Or, of course, Fnatic sit back, defend the base, which you'd expect, and another Baron will go the way of LMQ. No one, as you can see on the minimap, will be there for Fnatic. They're more concerned about keeping those Nexus turrets alive, and LMQ going to pick up their 2nd Baron in a row. Fnatic now have to go all out and have the most amazing team fight to come back.
Well, Rekkles could make that a possibility. Saw XiaoWeiXiao quickly summoning the snake as they retake Baron. 36-36 into the game, and it's going to be an 8,000 gold lead that LMQ is going to step up to the front door here on Fnatic's base. The poke not going to keep them out for too long. Moore does have his flash up. That means plays ready to be made. You can see him hugging the wall. Ward's over, ready to get over that wall.
And also, NoName with his flash up.
Yep.
So a lot of target prioritization options for LMQ here. They will slowly push these inhibitors. Never mind, LMQ doesn't play slow.
Going on towards Rekkles, an early wild growth push. XiaoWeiXiao right in the middle of them. There's a shutdown coming in, and instantly 2 men die. 3, 4, only sOAZ left alive. He will flash back towards the Nexus, but that is going to be the game. A cheeky TP from sOAZ onto his Nexus turrets will do nothing, and LMQ go 2-0 in the group. What a start.
Absolutely incredible play, a switch in styles, and it doesn't seem to phase them one bit. Top 2 team throughout the NALCS through the entire season, and they are bringing that play to the stage internationally.
And they just played out of their minds, I think, today. Greater than anyone's expectations. Remember, this was a 3rd seed from the North American LCS.
A struggling 3rd seed.
A struggling 3rd seed. They finished the season in a slump. They were in the pool for group draw along with the international wildcard teams. And they have demolished Fnatic in a sense this game. It was close, it was tense for a while, but when they got the slightest edge, they just struck faster than anyone expected. I was not expecting them to go in on any of those fights as quickly and decisively as they did, and it was impressive.
And it leaves Fnatic 0-1.